Little Larry and the Coach podcast. We have a new overlay today. I want to go ahead and start off by thanking Mr. Scary Mofo, one of our faithful guests. I wouldn't call him the best. Faithful, though. Joined the trip to Oshkosh with us, helped us with the live stream from Titan Stadium. But has done a good job. So everything for this new overlay, it's a work in progress, but we'll get it taken care of in the future. And then, as always, I got to thank Steamhammer 62 for. We're just gonna get right into it. All right, so that is that. But as you can see, we have a new overlay. So I appreciate it, Scary Mofo. A couple things that we definitely need to work on is video. We gotta get a better camera. I don't know, GM. What are you using? Just like a laptop camera?
Yeah, I'll be working on it. But I told you I'm gonna be working on my audio and video this weekend. I got a nice camera. I got nice audio equipment.
What's the camera? Is it the former Settlers camera?
Yeah, it's all former Settlers stuff.
See, I need something similar. I also need obviously some lighting in this room. I just have the above ceiling lighting. I need something that shines into the face, makes it look fresh. And then we have the dark navy background here. So we have some applications out there that we can kind of green screen that out. And
there you go.
And put us live at Titan Stadium. So that's kind of the plan. I got the good microphone here. I got to improve the camera, improve the lighting, and start to prepare because we have, there's some wishful thinking. I had a crazy story today. So I was at the gym.
Oh boy.
I was at the gym getting my lift on, and there was this cat that I kept seeing there. And I'm like, man, that guy.
Hold on. What were you lifting first off?
Deadlift. It was lower.
Right.
It was a lower body day, so I was doing deadlift and squats. So saw this cat there that looked really familiar, and I'm like, man, I've seen this guy before, looking pretty fresh, and I'm like, all right, I know this dude from somewhere. So then I've ran across him a few times, but every time I see him, he's lifting and he's watching Buckeye football press conferences. So I'm like, all right, that's kind of weird because he doesn't look like a guy who plays football or likes football, but to each their own. So he comes up to me and we're like, he wanted to share the same equipment. So he goes, hey, how's it going, man? Can we share? And I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, I'm Ben. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm Trent. Nice to meet you. And then after he was done, it clicked. It's Ben Buchanan, the former kicker and the ABC.
Good punter.
Oh, punter. Was he a punter?
I do believe he was a punter.
But yeah, so he is on Saturday or the Buckeye Fever show on ABC 6. And so I was like, that's where I noticed him from. So I didn't click until afterwards. So yeah, I had a strange run-in with him. But I told one of our fans, Jay Halder 10, I said, now we got it in. We're going to get him on Little Larry the Coach.
See, right there, Jay Halder 10 putting it up. Dr. Ben, he got a doctorate degree. And he was a punter, like I said. 41.2 average.
Did he ever go pro? That's the question. You got to think.
I don't believe he did.
For all the kickers in the NFL, how many of them come from large programs?
I wouldn't say a whole lot of them, probably. You see a lot of the smaller schools, but
Well, that's what's kind of interesting to me is like, why wouldn't how does that Alabama not get the best kicker in the country, or Ohio State, or this, that, and the other? Like, Ohio State's been on a heavy trend rate lately to get 28-year-old punters from Australia.
Yeah,
And so
it's a weird concept.
yeah, and that's why you don't see, like, where does Adam Vinatieri come? Where's the Adam Vinatieri's of the world come from? And so that's yeah. The coach actually used to he put all his eggs in one basket of knowing Gary Sheriff, who wanted to be a kicker for Ohio State, and that didn't turn out very, very hot for him. A story about Gary Sheriff, a tryout, was his shoulders were turned the wrong way. So I'd love to see. I don't know if you had to put shoulder pads on backwards on him, or but we went over to his house and had one of the most strange dinners with that man I've ever had. It was
Really?
Yeah. It was his family. It was just a strange dynamic. They lived in Dublin. For those who don't know, Dublin, Ohio.
Home of Urban Meyer.
Yep. So here's a quick question. So this is probably more relevant in baseball than it is in football. But are the umpires and referees in football responsible for equipment check of the athletes?
Define equipment check.
Well, one of the more strange ones is the thigh pads, right? You have to have thigh pads.
You have to have thigh pads and knee pads. Knee pads is the biggest one in high school football.
Yeah, because they're seeing a lot of pros that don't wear the knee pads anymore, right?
Yeah, and you get the manufacturers now that like the tight uniforms and
sure,
just the way it is now, the style.
Yep. And so they have to wear a knee pad?
Yeah, it has to cover their knee as well, obviously.
How strictly enforced is that?
We usually send probably 5 to 6 guys out on average every Friday night.
And that costs them plays, or is this something that's found out before the game starts?
We try to find them before the game. Obviously, you can't find them all before the game, but you just tell them, hey, get those knees covered before the game starts or whatnot. But if they come out, you just send them out until they get it done.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, obviously, the coaches really don't care what the kids do until it starts impacting the game. And when you have to take a superstar, probably
Jesus.
these kids are wearing this equipment because they want to look cool. Plus, they're probably a pretty good player. If they're out for a series or something like that to get a knee pad in, then
you're actually seeing some guys actually wear volleyball knee pads now.
What?
Yeah, because the pants are too short.
Oh, so that's like that's the way
that's their knee pad. So they just put the volleyball knee pad on and pull the pant pretty much over as much as they can.
That would be.
See, Coach A. Archer even said the GM is spot on.
Yeah, that's true. So for those who don't know, I know that we got 80% of the GM's attention right now. He's watching the wild card playoff game. To each their own, and for those who also don't know, we were supposed to have one of the football coaches for Newark Wildcats, a high school team, Doug Dusenberry.
Doug Dusenberry.
And unfortunately, we received.
R.I.P.
Yep, we received. I want to say R.I.P., but we received the text this morning or last night. I couldn't remember.
Last night.
Last night, saying that he will not be able to make it to this podcast this week. So he wants to write us in for next week. But I said, this is in the quote. I'll actually read the text. He said, "Please don't judge me like you do Coach A. Archer. I am unable to make it." He goes, I'm starting to sound like the coach. So he even understands the dynamics of the show where the coach constantly reschedules on us. So that's something that needed to be expressed. So we don't have Doug Dusenberry on. So this is just a recap show. What's happening? What's coming up in the world of sports, things like that. some big things on the forefront. Obviously, we have the new overlay that we're trying out, and we're going to have some guest speakers. So I know TJ's or the GM is in the works of getting a quarterbacks coach from a Division I school.
Assistant quarterback coach / whatever other titles he has.
Laundry guy.
Yeah, it's not laundry. He don't do laundry.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see the different dynamics between Coach A. Archer at the D3 level and seeing what Memphis, the Memphis, Tigers?
Tigers, bud.
Yeah, see what their responsibility is, and then we're gonna. He's got it. He was ready for him today, huh? So
he almost came on.
Yep. So he's in the. He's something that's going to happen, and then I gave some TJ or the GM. Gosh.
Come on, Larry.
I gave the GM some big ass to get on the show by the end of the year.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, with you being
we can't spill those beans yet.
Exactly, but with you being in a spot like GM, you're constantly getting interviewed by these reporters and whatnot, right? I mean, is it true or false? Were you on the front page of the Newark Advocate this year?
Yeah, it's right beside me. I'd get up and get it, but I don't want to get up.
Yeah.
That is a true fact.
So that's these are facts. So you got reporters, and basically, how many reporters are that come to the GM or to the game that for you guys for the Settlers?
Just the Newark Advocate and WHIZ TV covers us.
Every game? So why don't you use their feed?
Once every couple of games or so. They don't come to every game.
Are you allowed to use their feed to broadcast the game, or is that where the parents? Because we watched you live on Facebook before.
Yeah, that's just our broadcast.
But can you use the? I mean, obviously their cameras are a little bit more. I mean, theirs are commercial cameras, right?
So they just get highlights.
So it's not the full feed of the game.
Yeah, they don't get the full feed. Okay. I think what we may be doing this year is going through the Ohio Central School Broadcasting.
Yeah, so is that with like an affiliation of Ohio State Newark?
Sort of. It has their own school over in Reynoldsburg, but they would have 3 cameras, 2 on the side, 1 behind home plate, a full media production. So.
Do you think there's ever a chance that you guys change fields?
Yes, there could be.
Is that something that you don't want to talk about?
Can't talk about it.
Are you still the GM?
Yes, I am.
Are you going to continue to be the GM, or is it undecided?
It's undecided. We got to see how this year goes of the new changes and go from there.
Obviously, you're still recruiting, for the team. Correct. And everything like that, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And that's your favorite thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I love bringing guys here and stuff, but obviously I would stick out this year since I already got these guys here, and then reassess after this summer coming up.
So you did just confirm that you're going to be the GM.
Reassess the situation.
So, what is your favorite part of being the GM?
Seeing the guys succeed and getting drafted.
So succeed past the team, you're saying, throughout their career.
Correct.
Follow them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The let's see. Yeah. And yeah, we got to give a shout out. Coach A. Archer did fulfill one of his bucket list items of announcing a baseball game, and not only a baseball game, a walk-off home run.
That was the clincher walk-off win
to make it to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, we were technically already in the playoffs at that point, and the skunk delay, like Coach A. Archer mentioned.
There was the skunk delay. I forgot about that. And I know we're well past it now. Nothing's changing. It's summer college baseball. That was a foul ball.
Absolutely.
I think the umpires just didn't want to argue it. They wanted to get off the field and just be done with it
and move on. What are we moving on to next? Let's get off the Settlers college baseball season, please.
Okay, well, let's move on to my favorite topic. The Pittsburgh Steelers looked a hell of a lot better against probably the second worst team in the NFL, the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, because they're in front of the Miami Dolphins.
But I got to give credit where credit due. Randy Fichtner called a hell of a game. I think they did everything they wanted to do. I was texting with the coach last night. I was saying, why are they running this cat jet sweep so much? And it's an evolution of the bubble screen that they want to do with an additional blocker. So that's something to keep in mind and watch. I think it also helps get their running backs involved. I mean, coming into last night, James Conner was an absolute. It has been disappointing to say the least, but. You're starting to see Mason Rudolph's favorite target, which is Deontay Johnson from the rookie from Toledo. Had another big touchdown last night. And I think the bigger news is how good the defense played, which leads us to a little fantasy football talk.
Go ahead.
So the GM had a 50-point lead going into last night because he had Nick Chubb play. And we all know how he went off. So it was 135 to, I think, 80 going into last night. And I had on my team Juju Smith-Schuster, Chris Boswell, and the Steelers defense. And the Steelers defense performed very well. And at the end of the night, Lil Larry, 136, the GM, 135. I got a 1-point victory over the GM. It was crazy, and it actually kept me into the game. I think having your favorite team's defense keeps you excited about it as well, because I was like, no garbage points in the third and fourth quarter. And what really cost you was the Bengals had that red zone opportunity down 21, fourth down. They went for it, and Andy Dalton does what Andy Dalton does best, and he threw a pick in the end zone. To probably our worst player on the field, Mark Barron. He is a highly disappointing linebacker but a huge talent. I mean, he was a not a number one draft pick, but he was a first round draft pick coming out of college. Just hasn't panned out in the NFL.
So, talking about the Steelers and Bengals, Jay Holder 10 brings up a comment. When is a Bengals fan allowed to quit on their fandom as long as they don't pick another team? I'm sorry to say you're never allowed to quit on your team, because I suffered through the dark ages of the Cleveland Browns.
But I'll tell you what, this is about the time of the year, if you go down to Cincinnati, where they don't even care about Cincinnati Bengal football anymore. That's one of the things that makes me so infuriated with the city of Cincinnati, is that they back the Bengals all year round, right? Until the actual season starts, and then they lose,
and they all run,
and they nobody shows up to the games. Like, I couldn't tell you how many times we were in college where the Bengals weren't allowed to be on TV because they didn't sell out the stadium because that weird NFL rule, because it would be halfway through the season. And this was at the time they had TJ Houshmandzadeh, Chris Johnson, Chris Henry, and then Carson Palmer as a quarterback. Like, this is when they were actually really good.
Yeah.
And that was a stacked receiving core. But
they did nothing with it.
Also, I want to thank the Brownies. They a huge win over the Ravens.
I had no doubts, bud. I told you it was going to happen last Saturday.
Yep. And now look at the race. Steelers and the Bengals were 0-3, right? I mean, season essentially over, but now we're one game. Steelers are one game out of first place. If they beat the Ravens next week, and the Browns lose to the 49ers, everybody's 2-3 in the division, except for the Bengals. And
I have said this multiple times. The AFC North runs through Pittsburgh.
And you're sticking with that.
Yeah. Until someone dethrones them, they're going to be the champ again.
Well, the big thing with them, though, is the fact that I still think they're just not. I think they're developing Mason Rudolph for where he is. Like, I think they're still developing him as a quarterback. They're slowly introducing. He only threw one deep pass last night, and that was for a touchdown.
I kind of think that's a good thing and a bad thing. Obviously, you don't want to throw the whole entire playbook at him right away. I mean, like Coach A. Archer brought up last night when we were talking, the Steelers kind of remind you of those Ravens teams when they had Joe Flacco, who didn't overpower you, but they relied on their defense, field position, and take it when they can.
Yeah, 8 of the 11 starters on defense are first round draft picks for the Steelers. I added Mark Barron to that, even though he has not panned out, but across the board, and some of their best players on defense were not. Stephon Tuitt's probably one of the best people on their team, and he was a second-round pick out of Notre Dame. You had Steve Nelson, who was like a third or fourth rounder, and then trying to think Justin Hargrave from North Carolina State is the defensive tackle. He was a late rounder that panned out for the Steelers. So those are the 3 starters. Everybody else on their team was a first-round draft pick on the defense. So, but back to the Mason Rudolph thing is, yeah, they're developing him, but you look at the media, and I know that the coaches really don't care about the media and stuff, but they're saying like, Mason, you're not doing like Mason's not the future of the Steelers because he's not being flashy yet. Whereas like when Baker entered the league, they threw him to the wolves. Now that's the difference between a third rounder and a first rounder or first pick of the draft. But they threw him to the wolves and let him be Baker Mayfield.
Well, and a different coaching philosophy. Because obviously the Browns at that time, you have to win or you're going to get fired. A.K.A. rest in peace, buddy. But the Pittsburgh, you're going to be there, so you got to groom Mason to be there for the future.
So we have arguments going back and forth about fantasy football. Some people have been locked out for the whole season.
Idiots.
Well, it's called resetting your password or forgot my user login. But yes, Mason Rudolph, I think there's still, he has glimpses of greatness. You could definitely tell he's learned under Ben Roethlisberger, the way he was moving in the pocket last night, extending plays and doing things like that. I think it was pretty impressive. But I do want them to just let him loose, right?
I think you'll see him let him loose towards the end. Because obviously right now is not panic mode because you're only 1 game back.
Yeah.
So
I think what you also saw was Fichtner had a different strategy for the division. They held that Wildcat off. They didn't show the Wildcat. Their backup running back to James Conner. I'm blanking on him right now, but he had 0 touches in last week's game, and it seemed like he was touching the ball every play in this week's game. So
that's just Randy has thrown in those different wrinkles every week on new people. Jalen Samuels.
Thank you, Jalen Samuels. Thank you, Coach A. Archer. He's a stud. He plays pretty much every position. When he was at NC State, he was an absolute monster. But anyways, so that's going on. Obviously, let's talk about the wild card game. It's going on right now. So you had some prediction last week that it wasn't the NL side, but the AL side, right? Is Tampa's beating Oakland. Tampa's beating. Then
hold on. Can I reassess?
Okay.
Because all the locations are out now. I'm going to Oakland winning tomorrow night over Tampa Bay.
So you totally did a 180 of what you were saying last week.
Because I thought Tampa Bay was going to have the home game.
So now does that continue Oakland to beat Houston?
Houston will beat Oakland.
And then
Oakland don't have enough pitching.
So you're expecting a Houston Yankees AL division series.
I think the Twins are going to give the Yankees everything they can handle, though. I think you'll see a Game 5 in that series, but ultimately Yankees coming out facing the Astros, and the Astros beating them.
So you have Astros going to the World Series.
I have the Astros winning the AL, yes.
I would hate to see. I would love to see anybody but the Yankees. Don't want to see that. I mean, when you buy a championship, it's just why? Yeah.
It's just getting ridiculous anymore.
Yeah. You're starting
to Houston's the same way.
Well, you're starting to see it across sports, and I think it all stems from NBA, right? NBA empowered essentially their brand recognition is based off the players. It's not the teams like you have in the NFL. But what you're seeing is you've empowered the players, and now you have players essentially just picking a team. It doesn't even matter what market it is. They pick a team and they say, here's where we want to win a championship together, and then they bundle up. And then you have 3 to 5 good teams that are going to win a title every year. Everybody else is playing for a lottery to get Zion, I guess, or hoping that player comes around.
Yeah.
But and then now you're seeing it come to the NFL. I mean, I heard talks today that AJ Green might be traded to the Patriots when he gets back.
I could see it happening because obviously the Bengals are just garbage, and they just need all the help they can get with like draft picks and stuff.
What do you think AJ Green's worth? A first rounder, or because so a second and a third?
I would say a second at best. Definitely a third, probably.
Second and a third, or
just
second?
a third. One of the two.
I would take,
and then throw in a couple other things probably.
But that's the thing, like everybody. So this offseason, when you could become a free agent, unless you get paid big money, these guys want to go play with the greatest quarterback of all time. Pains me to say it, but he is Tom Brady.
Yeah, because I mean the Patriots are getting somewhat desperate now to get another solid receiver in there. So
did they make the wrong move?
And they know the time's running out.
Did they make the wrong move to get Demaryius Thomas? Give him up?
I think they did at the time because obviously they had AB at the time, and then we know how that turned out. But I think they did. I think they made the wrong move and pulled the trigger too soon.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're ready for a world.
Time will tell.
They're ready for a world after Tom Brady, though. That defense I think has scored more points than somebody in the league. I forget who it is on offense.
I wouldn't say they're ready for after Tom Brady because after Brady leaves, Belichick's gone. I mean, everyone's gone. Edelman will retire probably.
You think Belichick's retiring after Tom Brady leaves?
Yes, they'll go out together.
So then that just leaves the argument always, right? If Belichick can't win a Super Bowl without Brady, and if Brady can't win a Super Bowl without Belichick, is he a system quarterback, or on the Belichick argument, did he have the best quarterback of all time that made him look good?
He had the best quarterback of all time that made him look good, but Belichick is one heck of a coach.
Best of all time?
I wouldn't say the best of all time.
Who beats him out?
There's quite a few. Jimmy Johnson in there.
Because the argument that everybody's going to make with Belichick, right, is what did he do for the Browns?
Correct. But the Browns didn't give him a chance neither.
What do you mean?
I think he was only like head coach for 2 or 3 seasons or whatever, and we said get out of town. So he didn't have that time. But even with the best players, you still got to be able to put your players in the best position to win.
So was he the head coach when they moved to the Ravens to Baltimore?
I don't believe so.
Man, what a time to be alive to watch that.
I think someone else was when they moved. Jay Holder, Tim probably could pull it up for us.
Also, probably before our next podcast, something that we need to talk about. We have to do the NL. So I'll hold off on it. NL.
We can do the NL.
Let's do the NL right now. So you got Milwaukee playing right now.
Up 3-1 against the Nationals, who I had winning this game.
Obviously, Scherzer's on the mound.
Scherzer, yeah, he got rocked. He gave up a 2-run homer in the first, and then a solo home run in the second. And we're already in the top of the fifth.
Highly unlike him. What about for this game? Strasburg comes in relief or no?
Absolutely.
So you throw
you gotta throw the kitchen sink at it.
But
because Scherzer's at 69 pitches right now. After this inning, if you take him out and bring Strasburg in, then obviously Scherzer probably could come back game 1 or 2 of the NLDS if you end up winning this game.
But the question that I have is, and as a college pitcher, I was a reliever, but I don't know how much it affects a starter of getting ready. Like Strasburg is.
Yeah, obviously it just depends on the guy of if they've done it before, if they feel comfortable. Most of these guys have done it in college before where they're starters and have a bullpen day like midweek.
Yeah, and that's the question. So who do you have? Are you watching the game? Are you still siding with the Nationals as a comeback?
I think the Nationals will still end up pulling it out. I think they just got to get the crowd involved in it and ride the momentum wave.
All right, and so let's play out the National.
I don't even think we got to talk about the other ones. Dodgers are just coming out.
Yeah. Dodger. I mean, they're stacked.
The Braves and the Cardinals, I don't think would have a chance against the Dodgers, but I could be wrong.
I honestly think that the Nationals have the best shot of beating the Dodgers straight up. They have the pitching staff that could dominate the series.
It just depends on how this game turns out. If Scherzer goes all like 80, 90 pitches where he can't pitch till like game 3.
Yeah. So I only know the big two, but in the playoffs you probably ride 3 horses, right?
Typically, yeah. In the best out of 5s, you ride 3. So you have a 3-man rotation.
So Scherzer, Strasburg, and then I don't even know who the third reliever would be.
Yeah, it really don't have to matter. You can throw a bullpen day at them.
That's true. And just ride the two.
And with the off days in there, you're easy. Yeah.
Yep. What about? All right, so moving on then. So we got the Dodgers
and Astros, in my opinion, and Astros winning it again.
Yeah. Starting to become a baseball more than most sports. I mean, I guess NFL with Patriots, but more than most sports, you see the same names pop up for like over that decade. Like San Francisco Giants for the longest time, the Cardinals for the longest time, were always right there. And now it's starting to look like the Astros, the Dodgers continue to have their good run. Kansas City for a little while had their run.
And rest in peace to Ned Yost.
Yeah.
Finally hanging up.
Well, look at it. Bruce Bochy hanging it up.
Bochy.
And then you had in the NL Central, you had Joe Madden getting canned, and he
didn't get canned. He kind of stepped down. It's kind of mutual agreement.
Okay.
But he's going to have another job within a couple months.
Within a couple weeks, he's going to the Angels.
Well, I think the Padres are going to step in and offer the most money.
Who would you take just from an organization standpoint, Angels or Padres?
I would take Padres.
Even with the best player in baseball?
Yes, because the Padres have a deep farm system. They have the talent coming. Great facility. Angel Stadium is run down. I mean, I would just take the Padres.
Yeah, and then Clint Bortles? They got canned as well. The Pirates.
Yeah, I forget his last name, but his name is Clint Hurdle.
Hurdle, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. To the Scary Mofo, we already gave you your props for the overlay tonight. I had to adjust it for the 2-person speak, as you could tell. The guest speaker, Texas last
bailed
minute,
like the coach.
Bailed like the coach. He apologized, and we'll definitely work on getting somebody for next week. So that way we could get that 3-way split overlay that you helped me to work on. But so then let's talk about the college players getting paid. So 2023, it allows college players to make money off their names. What's your thoughts on that?
My initial thought is, well, let me say a couple things before making my opinion is, I do believe these college athletes should get some type of compensation because the NCAA and these universities get a ton of money off these guys. But ultimately, I think it's a bad decision right now to do this. I think everyone needs to have the equal opportunity playing field. USC and Cal and all those California schools out there are going to have the upper hand of these guys saying, I want to go to California instead and play for them because obviously I can get money. So,
but don't you think that they put the pressure on the NCAA? They gave NCAA enough time to react to this. It's 5 years away or 4 years away. 2023 is when it can start.
I'm pretty sure the NCAA has been looking into it for that long, and they're ready to release some stuff of what they think is best. Obviously, Ohio State has a lot of insight into this.
Yep.
Because of Gene Smith, even though some of us don't like him, Gene Smith is very well respected in the NCAA world with athletic directors and big issues like this. And even Dr. Drake, being with Ohio State, he's actually the main board person for the NCAA on this issue. So there's a lot of Ohio State intel. I know Ryan Day came out this afternoon as well.
During the coach conference, said he's aligned with Gene Smith.
Which, obviously, you got to say that. I mean, he's your boss.
Yep.
So, obviously, Ryan may have a different opinion, but you got to ride with your athletic director and support him. So,
but what's your thoughts on it?
My thought is, I think it needs to be done. But ultimately, it needs to be the level playing field across the NCAA for athletes and have certain guidelines and stuff put in play.
So you don't think if the NCAA released the same bill that California is releasing, you wouldn't have a problem with it? But the fact that it's a single state that's doing it, all the other states, obviously, Ohio is going to sign a bill saying, oh, yeah, 2023, we're going to do the same thing. Alabama's going to do the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, and then you're going to have some of the states that don't do it and stuff like that.
See, my big thing is, like, take JT Barrett, for example. He lucked out big time of making a roster in the NFL because you have somebody who was an absolute star. You had people wearing his jersey and everything. And then he graduates college and then nothing. He's back to the real world. He's not making an NFL team. Of course, he can go coach somewhere, or he can do some local things like, Beanie Wells went to 97.1 The Fan, Bobby Carpenter, things like that. But those guys played in the NFL. So I'm just using him as JT as an example. But,
yep.
In college, he can, Coughlin Chevrolet can use him as a spokesperson and be like, hey, I got a DUI, but with Coughlin Chevrolet, they can pick me up, things like that. So they can use him as advertisement and make some revenue to prepare him for all the things that he did for Ohio State as a program, but at the same time, get him boosted into the real world. And then obviously LeBron, like if LeBron came to college, it would be an exception. He's going to make $100 million, so
correct.
It doesn't matter.
I think there needs to be that cap somewhere, I think.
Yeah. So my question is,
we'll see.
Does that mean that Nike could come in and give a college player $65 million?
So kind of what I read today a little bit about it was, like, say Ohio State's obviously Nike school. Under Armour could come in to Justin Fields and say, hey, wear Under Armour cleats or whatever. I'll give you whatever amount of money. And he could do that. So it's
I'm
going to
guessing
really...
the school would step in, though, like, and tell Ryan Day, you can't play Justin Fields if you're doing that.
Correct. That's where I think some of the things are going to come of these school deals and stuff through their manufacturers.
Yeah, that would be a sticky situation. So what happened? Couldn't Under Armour, Nike, all those come in and do that at the high school level. Like if like LeBron, for example, wasn't he signed with Nike in high school?
Yeah, you can. Obviously you don't hear much of it about it because obviously it's like pennies, but
somebody like Zion or LeBron comes
yeah,
through, or another good quarterback or something like that. What happens when they go to college though? They have to forfeit that contract that they made in high school.
yeah, they kind of lose their eligibility, like Jay Holder 10 says, but you can do things behind closed doors.
Yeah, and we know
I know it happens. We ain't stupid in this world. These deals happen behind closed doors, and stuff gets pushed under the radar.
Yeah, just ask Kansas's basketball coach, right?
Amen to that.
Did he just get fired, or did he just get fired, or is he going to is he getting arrested as well?
You mean Louisville?
No, well I know Louisville, but Kansas,
Bill Self?
Yeah, he just got in trouble.
For what?
The whatever that huge indictment that the FBI was doing about improper funds.
Oh, you're crazy, Willie. That would have been all over the news.
It was all over the news. Jay Halder 10, please weigh in on this. And
I'm trying to pull it up.
Well, here's a comment that I had from one of the viewers that haven't hit the follow button yet. So make sure everybody that's logged in, listening.
There's anything on ESPN about it.
This was because it was like a week ago. Just put like Bill Self Kansas basketball.
Here we go.
See?
I'll have to read all that.
Okay, yeah, exactly. So I don't know if it's came down on him yet, but I know it's there. So,
yeah, I think it's allegations and stuff out there.
But if there's allegation, that means that every coach is doing it to an extent.
Yeah. It's just, Ohio State, Ryan Day's doing it. I know he is.
For God's sakes,
you're not cheating. You're not trying to win.
Exactly.
Right, Coach A. Archer.
Look at Urban Meyer with the Zach Smith situation. He just turns the other cheek and's like, I don't care that he's beating the shit out of his wife every night.
I'll flat out admit this summer we cheated a game because the rain was coming. I'm supposed to tell umpires these storms are coming, and I didn't tell them. I told them we couldn't get the tarp on quick enough because of lightning, and game was official. And sorry, we win.
So you extended the innings enough to where it's counts as a full game.
Yep, we played in lightning.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Yes, sir. That's how you do it.
Just little things like that.
And guess what? We made the playoffs by one game.
So now that's a GM decision. That's not coaching right there.
Correct.
That's high level.
But I'm just saying this stuff happens.
Yeah.
Regularly in sports.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let's get to read J-Dub's question or statement here.
Jordan DW. I don't know what the DW stands for, but
Dickweed.
We'll just call him Jordan Dickweed. The point that needs to be addressed is these kids could die on the field or get paralyzed, permanently injured, and a degree won't help with that. So something needs to be changed.
I highly agree with that statement. Even being a football official myself, I see this way too much. This could be a statement too that he just said because he knows how I feel about this, but I think these kids are in danger these days, and you're starting to see numbers drop off at middle school and high school of parents not letting their kids play. Heck, we had a kid from Newark Catholic 8th grade last week that got hurt with a head injury, and the head coach proceeds to tell us after he's laying on the ground, the squad's coming, that this kid had a spinal concussion or something of that nature with his spinal in his back, and they still allowed him to play. It's like, why the heck is he out here playing?
During the game?
This was a month prior when he got diagnosed with this thing, and then they let him play again.
Yeah, I think I think at that level, I think the NFL needs to step it up. I think NCAA needs to step it up and say, and then each high school organization and say, we don't want players playing tackle until freshman year or sophomore year of high school. I would even say keep the freshmen out of it, even though you're talking like the 1% of freshmen that are prepared to play tackle football against guys that are just obviously more developed than they are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a huge difference between 18 and 14.
I think the game of football has changed lately just because the shots that they're taking out, the going after guys and headhunting and all those hits are going away finally, slowly.
Yep.
Other than Burfset, whatever his stupid name is.
Vontez Burfict?
Yeah, screw him.
Yep.
He's a killer.
Yep. Well,
but yeah, I mean, it's just, it's bad. I mean,
have you ever officiated a flag football game at the junior high level?
Junior high flag football?
Yeah.
No.
Because I know when you watch, during the Pro Bowl and stuff, they have those. I don't know what the league is called, but it's literally 14-year-old kids playing flag football. It's a 7-on-7 league.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, it's during the Pro Bowl, and they do like their little Super Bowl at that time. So it's a 7-on-7. What we got going?
Sorry to pause you, but Milwaukee, I just now noticed, took out their starting pitcher already.
Well, yeah, they're probably
and went to their bullpen.
What inning is it?
It is bottom of 5.
So
this guy came in last inning though, because he has 21 pitches.
Yeah, so they're gonna go 4-1-1-1-1-1.
Yeah, and then have their starter be able to throw game 2 if they win.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
Yep, I definitely think my perspective on the players to make money, I'm all for it. I think California just put the pressure on it. I think on the NCAA to make changes. If not, it doesn't really matter. Ohio's going to come through with theirs. Alabama's going to come through. They know the programs that are in that state. And Texas, the same way. It's basically LeBron, right? This was LeBron's brainchild, and he just put the pressure on California to get that bill passed.
Yeah, and they did it at LeBron's video feed, whatever stupid thing he has now.
The Twitter account.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, so but moving on, so we got a big game for Oshkosh football this week, right?
Big game.
We got a bunch of big games. So we got Oshkosh football has a big game. Then that night, Ohio State versus Michigan State. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to reach out to the director. I haven't heard any information about getting media passes for that game, so that's something that I need to continue to work on. But we got some big games. So we got Oshkosh football. We got UW Stout. Looking forward to this what's that timeout?
What?
I had a problem last year with Coach not saying anything during chat. I have a problem this year with you constantly looking at your phone, watching TV.
Hey, I'm trying to pull up UW Stout stuff.
I've got multiple complaints from people watching this stream that we are boring to look at. We're boring to watch.
For what? Boring them how?
Because you're staring off into space watching.
See, I'm trying to pull up UW Stout.
Just rub it on that phone the whole time.
Holy shnikes, they're terrible.
So what we probably need you to do is, I want probably like every 5 to 10 minutes, every time somebody hits that subscribe button or that follow button, we need to have you stand up, do 10 jumping jacks, or
negative,
or spell a word. Timeout.
I got that in my hip pocket now, buddy.
Yeah.
That's the timeout. I just looked up UW Stout's record. They are 1-2. If Oshkosh does not beat them by 21 points, they got a problem.
Wow. So, but what's records don't mean anything. You still think that the AFC North comes through Pittsburgh at 1-2?
That's one game behind, pal. This is UW Stout compared to Wisconsin Oshkosh, who's one of the king on the hill in the WIAC.
Wisconsin Oshkosh is 2-1. They're one game behind. Stout.
Wisconsin Oshkosh is the king of the hill in the WEAC, though. Sort of like Pittsburgh's the king of the hill.
So
No, Tony T. Overby, you cannot follow more than once.
Nope.
Sorry.
You got it.
Hey.
Tell your friends, tell your wife.
You can create more accounts. Go ahead.
Yes. So basically, if we get to fit...
Can we pull up the schedule?
Yeah.
Larry?
I got the schedule.
I mean, come on.
Gotcha. Right. Got it right there. So I'm on top of it, bud. Scene transition.
Oh, it's a little delayed. There we go. See? That's what I like right here. So, I don't like that setup, though, mofo. Change that up next time for me.
I don't like how they have the home and away games going back and forth, but that's exactly what Oshkosh put out.
Yeah, I don't like that setup. But yeah, obviously UW Stout on the road. I don't think Oshkosh is going to have a problem this weekend.
So who's the top three? The big three in the WEAC, right? You got Whitewater, Stevens Point,
UWEA Claire upset what's that team, right?
St. Thomas.
Yeah, so they upset them, which was kind of a surprise, I think, to some people. So you got to throw them into the mix. You got Whitewater,
Stevens Point.
Yep.
So the benefit for Oshkosh this year is
those 3 games are at home.
3 games at home. I believe the only tough road game they have that's from a team that's in the top 25 is lacrosse, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna look it up real quick, but I'm almost D3 football rankings, but I'm almost certain that that there's 3 teams in the WEAC in the top 25. So obviously Whitewater is number 3. Then you have lacrosse. Like I said, is number 16. And then there must have been a loss from Stout, because I thought Stout was in the top 25. Or not Stout, Stevens Point. Or Claire.
Claire was right there. LAX lost.
Yeah, Stevens Point has received votes to be in the top. Plattsville has also received votes to be in the top. Oshkosh is the last team receiving votes. They received 2 votes.
Getting vote. Yep.
Yeah, their last team. They received 2 votes.
And obviously, Coach Roney is one of them.
Yeah, how does that work? What do they do? They put a poll out to the coaches and say, "Here, give us your top 25."
Coach J. Archer, can you confirm on that? If that's how they do that, is just send out something? I think that's how they do that.
Okay. So
we'll have him confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that's what you do is just vote of your top 25 or whatever, like move them, and then they add up points.
Because especially at the D3 level, like you're not watching.
SIDs for each team have a vote. You cannot vote for yourself. Interesting.
Well, what's strange is how does this SI, I don't even know what SIDs.
Neither do I.
What that stands for, but it's hard because if it's a coaching staff, you're not watching other teams, right? You're
Correct.
Watching your your conference, and that's it.
Yeah, you just see film and highlights and
information director. There we go.
Something information director. People, they're the ones that vote on that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, let's not knock them because that's essentially
that's like us voting on it.
Yeah, no, it'd be essentially like the GM, right? So like the Settlers, if they sent you a weekly thing saying rank your, would you rank your division, your conference, and people that are in the college summer ball league?
End of the season last year, we were ranked 20 in the nation summer baseball.
And that
until obviously we lost the championship.
Wow, how does that ranking work?
Whoever wins our league championship usually finishes around that 18 to 12 range in the nation.
So how do you? So that's a good back to.
I have no idea who votes on that.
Well, not who votes, but how do you make your conference a more prestigious conference?
Getting better talent in and trying to expand the best you can.
Well, obviously the talent, but does that more prestige level? Is there better facilities, better housing?
I wouldn't see better facilities because even the Cape Cod League has worse facilities than us.
Yeah, they're just a name brand.
It's like a high school field is what it is with no fence.
Yeah.
Some of the fields are. It's like unbelievable.
Have you guys ever played at Midland?
No.
Yeah, that's where we used to play for the Mount.
They came in a scrimmage just last year.
They a good team?
Yeah.
They get the
we
star.
beat them though.
Oh, humble flex. So before we move on, so obviously I'm going with Oshkosh. You're going with Oshkosh. 21-point victory.
I'm saying it's an easy dub for Oshkosh.
Like I said last week, I said I think last week's game was a team that they out-coached, they out-talented coming in. It was just across the board they were outmatched them in every way, and we had the argument about playing weaker opponents, but sometimes you need that weaker opponents. And I said, lack of a better term, it's like fucking a fat chick. It gets you, It gets you back on that horse, and it gets it's essentially what the Steelers did to the Bengals last night. It primes the pump, gets your offense back in sync, get your defense back in sync, and kind of prepares you for. Go ahead.
Steven Strasburg is in the game.
There you go. You called it. You're throwing everybody at him tonight.
Yep.
So it primes the pump. So I think they're going to be firing on all cylinders. And I think I'm expecting some big things out of Berghammer this week.
I am too.
He's going to be the leader that's going to take over the game. It's going to be.
I'm going over 350 total yards of offense from Berghammer this weekend.
What about the rushing game? What do you think about that?
I think Coach A. Archer's got the boys going. Obviously, we've been talking about that offensive line a little bit, being young and inexperienced a little bit. They got one big key guy up there, but I think it's going to get going too. It'll help out the passing game as well. So you got to get the running game going.
Yeah, and then what do you think about? What do you think? But yeah, the running game. I think there's under 2 yards a carry average was going into last week's game.
Yeah, something like that, if I recall properly.
Yeah, I think they steamroll. I think they. I think this is the redemption game that Oshkosh is saying. We might have lost that one, but we're here to compete in the WEAC, just like the Steelers. I think they're following the same trend. Buckeyes. Damn, they're good.
Yeah, they're impressive. It's almost scary, but
my question was Nebraska? I think it was a little combination of both. Ohio State's better than what we thought. I think Nebraska was worse than what we thought.
Well, when you come out and just smack you in the mouth and go up 28-0 or whatever they did in the
first half,
quickly.
Yeah.
Obviously, you get shell shocked and you're just behind the 8-ball.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, we have to talk about Ohio State.
You don't mail it in, obviously, but they were done.
Yeah, I mean they smacked them in the mouth, and I think Scott Frost learned. I think Scott Frost is a great coach, but I think
he knows they ain't there yet.
He knows that they're not there, and he quickly realized that the talent level is not there. Coach A. Archer, thank you for that. 4.6 yards a carry is what they're averaging, so significantly raised that yards per carry from the running backs position. I hope is the stats that.
Well, you got Berghammer in there too, because obviously that's rushing.
No, I want what the running backs are averaging. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson makes the running stats look a lot more on steroids than it actually is. But I want to know what the running backs are having. So, but Ohio State is damn good, but they have a tough schedule ahead of them. You have Wisconsin looks good. Penn State looks a lot better than I think.
No.
You don't think
Ohio
so?
State's on a pedestal up here. with everyone else down here.
I agree, but
I mean, that's how bad it is.
my question, but the problem is one off game with a tough schedule, and bad things can happen, right?
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to have an off game.
And honestly, they could afford to lose to a Wisconsin. They cannot afford to lose to Penn State because that's the only barrier between us and the Big Ten championship. If we don't make Big Ten championship, we don't make the college football playoffs.
I don't think you can lose a game and make the college football playoff.
Really, even in Alabama or Georgia,
Alabama or Georgia
or LSU.
The Big Ten cannot lose a game.
I mean, Pac-12's not scary at all. Oklahoma seems to be the horse that's coming out of the Big 12.
Oklahoma will probably be in just because they're like Ohio State. They're above everyone else in that Big 12. And then you got the SEC champ will be a lock. Clemson, I don't know yet.
One loss Clemson, do they get in?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think a one-loss Big Ten would get over them for sure.
Really? Defending champ?
I think so because that one-loss team will either be Ohio State or Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think if it's Ohio State,
unless Ohio State beats Wisconsin twice or vice versa.
But I think in that scenario, I think one-loss Ohio State has a chance to get in over a Clemson, but no way Wisconsin's getting picked over.
We'll see.
Wisconsin can't even sell out their stadium. That was crazy to me. They didn't even sell out their stadium against Michigan last week.
Michigan.
Last week. Or 2 weeks ago, though. I'm saying they didn't even sell out
2 weeks ago was Michigan.
That's embarrassing.
Well, they know they were going to destroy them.
I don't think they knew. The fans didn't know. The average fans didn't know they were going to destroy them. But yeah, Nebraska sells out every game. But the argument by the coach was, "What the heck's going on? What else is there to do in Nebraska than watch football? What else is there to do in Wisconsin?"
Nebraska has the most loyal fan base in the Big Ten, hands down. When you're getting slaughtered that bad and you're still staying in your seats, that is impressive.
Yeah.
Ohio State fans would have been gone.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
And then one of the last things I want to talk about, moving on, because we know Ohio State's going to dominate. What do you think? Well, before we move on, what score prediction?
42-3.
All right. I was close, by the way, last week. Was I not?
Yes, you were. And I've been one of those guys that think these games are trap games, the whole 9 yards, and we're going to have a slip-up game. I don't believe it. This team is on a pedestal of no other.
I think Michigan State has a bad offense, but I think they'll get 10 points. And the true question is, when does Ryan Day call off the cavalry? Because
you can't call off the cavalry. That's
the question. Is that why keep Justin Fields in a game when you're up 48-3? At some point, you got to weigh the option. Do you risk him getting injured because one of the defense players does something stupid and hits him late, or do you keep him out on the field to get reps because he's a freshman?
Yeah, it varies. I mean, that's a hard decision to make, obviously.
I would say I'm going to go 42-10.
Coach A. Archer said Michigan State has wide receivers that can force it out of man coverage. I can tell you our front four would break his ass if they go out of man coverage.
Well, also Ohio State's at this point considered DEU, defensive end university, as well as DBU, because we get a first rounder at least every year out of both those positions. If you look at our defensive ends in look at our last three defensive ends, even four, because you could add the Hubbard from the Bengals in there, but you have Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, and then Chase Young is probably the best out of all of them, and which is scary, which is really freaking scary.
Yeah.
being so good. But
I just think our defense can play any coverage they want and match up with anybody.
yeah,
It don't matter.
yeah, I definitely we're just head and shoulders above the rest of the Big Ten.
It's embarrassing.
And really the country. I mean, outside, I think there's 4 teams that probably could compete. Outside of that, we're
name those 4, please.
Oklahoma.
Yep.
Probably Georgia and Alabama. And
that's only 3.
And Clemson.
No.
I think Clemson.
I'd go Georgia, Alabama,
LSU,
Oklahoma, Notre Dame.
Oh Jesus, LSU.
No.
You think old Joey Burrows, Joey touchdown?
No. I really hope though that all this quarterback transfer stuff shakes out and all these teams play all those quarterbacks.
EBDBB.
Like us play LSU and Oklahoma plays Alabama. That would be interesting.
You know, what I want to thank Scary Mofo for tuning into this sports conversation. He needs this podcast because this will help him teach him a little bit about sports.
Can we bring him on one time and talk about sports, please?
No, we're going to bring him on and talk about esports.
No, we need to talk about real sports.
We got the League of Legends World Championships going to be starting soon, and he's going to be our on the field man that's going to come in and talk about it.
Mofo needs to give us a World Series pick.
Well, we can't do it right now because of reasons. But,
amen to that.
But we'll get Scary Mofo on. I want to get his perspective on sports in general. I thought of him today. I saw a couple Mormons riding their bikes. I wanted to honk and take a picture with them, but then with every Mormon, you're going to be stuck in a 2-hour conversation with them. So,
all right, easy Mofo on esports, but we'll have our time and place for esports.
Yep. But Friday, Blue Jackets play the Maple Leafs. Started the season.
Home opener, season opener.
Season opener, home opener. It's going to be big.
By the way, the Blue Jackets canceled their last preseason game, if you didn't see that last Sunday.
I did see that. I don't know why.
Because the St. Louis Blues could not get out of St. Louis due to mechanical failure on their plane.
Really? So they can't take like a Southwest?
That's what some people were saying.
Yeah, you can't afford a Southwest flight?
Amen.
Or another
no,
airline.
Mofo, you don't need to hit me with numbers. I trust you, buddy.
But anyways, I do have a question about what do you think for the Blue Jackets this year? A lot of turnover. Playoffs?
No playoffs. Average season, I think.
So
it will be nice once we get the podcast there for a Blue Jacket game though in person.
100%. That's something that I'm trying to work on. I got to find the right conversation to have with the right person. That's something.
Maybe a little Ohio State hockey.
That would be good. Do they still play at the
Shot?
The Shot?
Yeah. So maybe like a Miami, Ohio game where they're pretty good.
Pretty good. There's Ohio is weirdly good at hockey, and growing up in Podunk town, we were never introduced to hockey. I would think I would be the epitome of what a hockey player needs to be. I lost a tooth. I played baseball, so I'm swinging a stick. I wrestled, so I could get in the fights, and I played football. I could get contact. There's just one, probably the most important part of hockey that I never did, and probably I still don't know how to do, is that skate, and skate well.
Yeah, once football season gets done, stuff, and the hockey season is the only thing that we can talk about. But we'll bring on the kid, the pitcher who stayed with us this summer. He played a goalie growing up, so.
Yeah, is he a big NHL fan?
Yes, he was actually on NHL 16, I think, on the video game.
Oh, he actually played hockey.
Yeah, he actually played for like the Canadian national team because he's from Canada.
Wow. Well, of course he played hockey.
Yeah.
So is he trying to pursue his dream of hockey, like do NHL, Or
No, he's baseball now. He gave up the hockey dream.
why?
It just wasn't working out. He just wanted to go back to baseball.
Yeah. See.
So,
Yeah.
and we can talk to him a little bit about the money side too, because obviously the hockey kids up there, when you're 14 or whatever, you have to choose if you want to go to amateur hockey to get paid or stay in school.
Yeah. So they have similar rules as the NCAA, but
Yeah,
from a college level.
correct.
Yeah.
So it'll be kind of interesting to see her that side of things too, but that'll be during hockey season.
Yeah. My hope for the Blue Jackets this year is we get some cream that rises to the top. We have Seth Jones, Cam Atkinson, I think our Nick Foligno that could be breakout, and then Dubois. Actually, it's just Dubois, Atkinson, and Seth Jones need to break out as superstars in the league. I think we know what Foligno is, and then I want to see what our goalie's all about. If we could ride the horse on Elvis or not. And I think, come trade deadline.
Elvis.
I think come trade deadline time, if that prediction's correct, if those players are performing, I think we make some moves and get some more points added to the wings, because
we've always done that good thing of, if we're in that playoff race around that deadline, we usually go out and make those splashes.
Yeah, because that's one of the questions is mediocre kills franchises, right?
Yeah.
So in the NFL, 8-8 is like the worst season you could have, because you're not going to get a good NFL draft. You're just going to be a middle round pick in that first round. So do you tank or do you shoot for the stars?
You tank. In my opinion, you tank.
Well, I was talking with somebody today, and a pretty good point. NFL, you don't tank. This is why you shoot for it, because playoffs is a 1-game series. So even if you're significantly worse than the Patriots or the Chiefs might have a bad game. Patrick Mahomes might have an off game, which has never happened.
He did this past weekend.
But he's led them to a championship, or still led them on a drive to win the game.
He only scored me like 29 points this week, pal.
All goes back to fantasy. He won the game. He literally 2-minute drive to win the game. But anyways,
he won the game.
So anyways, I kind of offset you too, because I had Travis Kelce. So if he was to throw a touchdown, it's probably going to be to Travis Kelce. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so it's a one playoff series. So any given Sunday is any given. That's a phrase for a reason. Any given Sunday, somebody can win. However, in baseball, hockey, NBA, those are 5 and 7 game series outside of the wild card for baseball. But those are 5 and 7 game series. That means more than likely the better team is going to kind of show them face. So you want to, I think you tank in those leagues.
Yeah. Jay Holder 10, the CBJ does have assets to trade. Why don't you just look up the Lake Erie Monsters?
Yeah, I concur with that. The fact that they're like the Indians. I look at the Blue Jackets and the Indians very, very tight. The Lake Erie Monsters and the Columbus Clippers are some of the best minor league sports teams over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
And
Lake Erie Monsters are probably the best sports team Cleveland has.
Yeah.
It's not saying much, but
what about the Brownies, bud?
Until the Browns win something.
But that was also the question I had. We had this conversation before. Obviously, the Cavs have won a championship now. The Indians got really close. The Browns are getting there. What championship takes the cake of Cleveland?
The Browns.
Browns win, the city gets destroyed.
Yeah. I mean, it's a football town. It's always been a football town and always will be.
Yeah. If
the Browns win the Super Bowl one day, holy cow.
The question
buildings may be burnt down.
Do you think now that they've kind of opened up how the Super Bowl it gets played, do you think a city like the Cleveland or Pittsburgh or somebody like that in a cold weather Super Bowl again?
I wouldn't think they would come to a true cold climate like that. I mean, I know they went to New York, but that's because it's New York and was a brand new stadium.
Sure. But
Cleveland's in the talks for in 20 years or so. They'll have a brand new stadium.
they need to make it a dome.
Yeah, they'll have a retractable roof.
Yeah, I think that's exactly.
That's what Pittsburgh needs to do too.
I think that's that's
Other
what
than
needs to happen.
Chicago and Green Bay, let those guys stay outside because it's classic football and the cold. I mean, those are two frozen tundras.
Well, you got Lambeau Field, and Soldier Field doesn't have the same prestige as Lambeau.
They're right there up there. Soldier Field's been around some time. It's had some special things in there other than the Bears.
But yeah, I was having this conversation today. I said, everybody says how big that win was for the Browns, right, to beat the Ravens. But I think because they don't play each other until Week 14 at Cleveland. So if you take the fans out of it, which is a big takeout, but if you take the fans out of it, Ravens are built for a cold weather team, whereas I don't think the Browns are really yet.
No,
because
because you got to throw the football.
Yeah, you got to throw the football. Whereas the Ravens are doing a lot of RPO, a lot of pretty much just read options.
But by the way, speaking of the Browns, get back to that. I forgot to bring this up earlier. The Browns are finally going to get Antonio Callaway back this week.
Yep. And then
a big piece to the puzzle.
Kareem Hunt here in a couple weeks, correct?
That's about 6 more weeks yet.
Oh, how long was it expanded?
Because it's a week 8 suspension, but we got our bye in there too.
Okay.
And so it's actually week 9 he'll come back.
And how much do you think he adds to the team, though?
I think he's going to add a lot because of his value of catching passes out of the backfield.
So, but he's essentially a third down back because you're not replacing Nick Chubb on first and second down.
No, God no. Chubba wubba wubba.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Oh, he's an animal.
But because I said he was probably my favorite pick of the draft last year. I think he is a better player than Baker at his position. I think he's more highly rated at running back than Baker at quarterback.
I believe that.
So, all right. Well, yeah, Blue Jackets.
We're in the bottom of the 7th, so.
I hope the Blue Jackets pull through on Friday. Obviously, we hope the Buckeyes and Oshkosh pulls a dominant victory in the football space. He's rooting for the Browns. I'm rooting for the Steelers. You got anything else you want to cover tonight?
Just wishing you luck on your second child there, Big Larry.
Yep. Come Thursday, I will be a second-time father. So smash that follow button. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy time. But
yeah, support the kids.
Support the kids. Next week we're planning on having the old Duesenberry on. So
and maybe just me and him if you're tied up.
Well, how are you gonna run that thing?
I'll get Mofo.
That's true. Mofo's very he's a hard guy to get tied down.
I'll tie him down.
He's got a lot of women in his life he has to take care of.
I know my TVJ holder. That's why I got to get off here.
All right. Without further ado, I got to give out the shout out again. Scary Mofo, I appreciate the turnaround in terms of the overlay. I think it's starting to get more clean. We're obviously going to make it a lot better in the future. I got to thank Steamhammer62 for this outro and intro song. And I want you guys all have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you next week.